Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Valen, and this is Nature's Aura. Today we're going to be, well, harnessing Aura. That's what we're going to be doing. Yes, that's right. And real quick mention, I feel that I should thank one of my patrons, Serious Creeper, who also happens to have a YouTube channel. You should always check it out. That guy's pretty good. So, let's get into this. Now, the chapter in your book called Harnessing Aura looks kind of like this. Got like some little ingot stone looking things. It is what we're going to be focusing on today. There's plenty that I can cover in this mod, but I figure it's probably best if I break it up chapter by chapter. And yes, it will be beginning, mid, and end game type stuff. Usually I try to go through progression wise, but it's just easier if we cover the types of items in this case. And if you look here, we've got the natural altar. I already covered that in the getting started video. We're going to be covering a little bit more of what you can do with it. In this case, you can add onto it a crumbling catalyst and or a transmutation catalyst. Now, the crumbling catalyst is made with one of those little rituals with these little tree stumps and whatnot growing a tree in the center. If you look here, it's another oak sapling with golden stone bricks, infused overpowered rocks. It gets you a crumbling catalyst. And it basically, that's not that one, that's this one. You take it and you place it on one of these smaller spots on the side. And that's all you need. You don't need multiples, just the one. And if you want, you can do that with a transmutation catalyst as well. Yes, there's 2 extra spots. There may be more add-ons in the future. Who knows? But that's pretty much how it works. You just place it in that spot and then you gain its abilities. Now, what kind of abilities might it gain? In this case, it's kind of like a grinder in most tech mods. You put a bone in there, you'll get 6 bone meal. Sugarcane will get you 3. You've got your blaze grinding, your glowstone, sand from cobblestone, and so on. Now, in this case, I'm actually going to remove the transmutation catalyst because it kind of does something a little bit extra with that. But if I take some cobblestone, in this case, let's just grab 1. I'll put that on the side here. Put it in place. You'll see it will turn into sand. There you go. That's it. That's pretty much what that one does. It's basically just like a tech mod grinder equivalent. I can put that back in. It's not going to do anything because it doesn't have anything set up for sand. Now, there are other uses, of course, but in this case, let's take a bit of bone. And I have this set up right now to automatically take items. Now you notice it's still sitting there, oh, and then it disappeared. There was bone meal. The reason being, there was 6 of them, and it only goes as fast as the hopper that I have underneath this. And it gave me those 6 bone meal. Now you notice that the bone meal went, but the sand didn't. Why not? Reason being, sand has another use, and that is where the transmutation catalyst can come in. So, transmutation catalyst, if you look here, is going to be made with one of those ingot of the skies that I showed at the end of the getting started video, plus a few other items that might be Nature's Aura incorporated, plus a jungle sapling, which might not be quite so easy to come by, but still, it's there, and you, as before, place it down and you can benefit from it. No, you don't have to have the crumbling catalyst in place. You can have one, the other, or both. Doesn't really matter. So, if I put down sand, though, let's take a piece of sand, put it down. It will then transmute it into something else. Of course, it's using aura to do so, and then disappear. Now, you might have actually seen it there. It was there for a moment. Soul sand. So in this case, you can use the crumbling catalyst to turn cobblestone to sand, and the transmutation catalyst to turn sand into soul sand. Actually, let's grab some cobblestone here, and then we can toss this in, and it will do one, the other, and then we get the end results. And then it will leave the natural altar itself. Ta-da! Which will then basically turn cobblestone into soul sand. Pretty neat. So that's kind of what that does. Now, it will do more than just that. So you can see here, it will turn bottled darkness, which is just one of those corked bottles used in the end. It will turn it into dragon's breath, which is really nice, because then you don't have to constantly keep, killing the dragon over and over again, trying to get the breath or anything like that. It will turn rotten flesh into leather. It will turn sand into soul sand, as we saw, and mushrooms into nether wart, making things a little bit easier. And even better, nether quartz into prismarine shards, therefore making those a little bit more obtainable. All at the cost of a little bit of aura and the creation of some of these couple blocks added to your natural altar. Now, there are some other things that we need to take a look at. And I will say that I already covered the extraneous fire starter in the getting started as well, so we are going to kind of skip over that, but it basically will allow you to burn fuel in a furnace for free, or just at the cost of a bit of aura, but it'll also burn it very quickly, so that's pretty cool. But we're going to be covering the aura field creators. Now, I'm not going really fancy with this one. I'm just kind of keeping it simple in this case. But before I do, in order to better illustrate these, I did mention the imperceptible builder in the getting started video. Now this is a really handy, nifty device. It basically will place blocks nearby on what you specify. In this case, I've got this, which is a farming stencil made by taking some planks with some dirt and your botanist hoe, and you get this farming stencil. Don't worry, you get your hoe back. And then you can put it in here. And this says that you want to place items in the inventory above the imperceptible builder, which, by the way, it looks like this. It wants to place the contents of this chest on whatever is in that frame. And in this frame is farmland, is what this basically represents, which is here. So in the chest, I have a potato, 3 seeds, a carrot, and beetroot. So notice the order that this happens when I pull this lever. We've got potato, and then seeds, beetroot, carrot. So it pretty much went in the order from top left across. So therefore it automatically planted all those items. I can turn it off now, don't need to keep it running. But that's just kind of like a cool mechanic on how that works. Now, the aura field creators, those are made with ingots of the sky, some glass, piston, and some bottled sunlight. You get 2 of them, which is good because you absolutely need to have 2 in order for it to work. And they work in multiple ways. Basically, it will harvest items in the area. So you need to right click, you jotted down the position, and then right click on the one that you want it to shoot to. Boop, you made a connection. And then you give it a redstone signal, and it takes a second or 2 for it to actually warm up, but you'll start seeing the particles forming between them, and you start seeing the aura being drawn into them as well. So it's something you don't want to leave on all the time. It's something that, yep, you can therefore use when you need to. In this case, it harvested these items. Now you can always use some other items that will help to pick those up, but I'm just showing you how those can work. Now, you saw that it just broke those items. Yes, they weren't done yet, so it's not the best farming tool in this setup, though you can easily set it up to be one. In this case, you can use it to shear items. So let's turn these 2 on and see what happens when I've got some of these items that usually break when I punch them or use something that isn't silk touch or shears. Well, it worked just fine. It did turn the double tall into a single block, but it doesn't destroy them. It just picks them up. So it kind of allows you a measure of silk touch, which is kind of cool. Now, if I take something like obsidian, place that down there, it will break the obsidian as well. So that's also a really nice way of, easily breaking things that normally don't break, but you can use it in multiple ways. So it's just an example of how it can be used. There are more detailed ways that I show this in the first look video that I made for Nature's Aura. Now, I did mention something about picking items up, and that would be the hopper enhancement. This, which as you can see the recipe here, allows you to turn a hopper into kind of a vacuum hopper. Allow me to get some. Grab a hopper, and then we're going to grab a hopper enhancement. And basically, I will put this down in, let's put it in the middle here so that I've got more of an open space. Put this on top of it, and you kind of have this item that will pick up stuff in an area. Now, it might take a second, but then it just picks it up, puts it in the hopper, and that's pretty much it. So therefore, you can use that to pick up items that are broken by some of these blocks or, needing to be replaced or whatever. So you have an area effect that it can work. Now, if you're not sure on where this will affect, you can always right-click it with one of these, a mystical magnifier, which is a very simple to make item. And it kind of has this like little highlighted area. If you stand outside of it, you can see kind of like a bounding box. This is the entire area that this hopper will vacuum items in. So if I put this, let's stand over here. Toss this over here, nothing happens. Toss this over, actually was that right on the edge? I guess it did. Anyway, this shows you the effective working area that this will hopper items in. And that's pretty much how it works. If you don't want that anymore, you just either roll your mouse wheel off of it, pick something else, or can right-click on the block again. And this works for more things than just that. For example, the Imperceptible Builder, you can right-click and you can see the area that it can place blocks in, which is just pretty darn cool. Not to say that it will. Obviously, it has to have a matching frame for whatever block you're going to be placing things on. And as it turns out, the reason that my items were being picked up is because I forgot I had one sitting over here. kind of annoying. Give me all my steak back, you big thief. Okay, so anyway, that's taken care of. All right, let's move on to something a little more security related, and that's a lamp of sanctuary. This one here is this little sucker here, lamp of sanctuary. And yes, you can always right-click and bring up the information on a sneak, and then right-click to open up the section in it. So there you go. This requires bottled darkness, which is from the end. So this is more an endgame item, and there's good reason for that. It's because this will eliminate mob spawns in an area, in a rather large area, in fact. So let's right-click, and you can see it's this large purple dome. Let's have a little fly out. It covers a very large area, in fact. Let's get some height. And there you go. You can now see that there is quite an area that it's going to eliminate mob spawns in. Not to say that if a mob is being spawned by a spawner, would it stop that per se? It's possible. I actually, now that I think about it, did not test that. But as in most cases, it would eliminate your natural mob spawns like under trees or in dark areas. Therefore, is why I have a lever nearby on this case. But it's just really nice. And at nighttime, it does give off a glow. So therefore, it kind of acts as a lantern or lamp of its own. All right, so let's take a look at the last item here that I have on the list in Harnessing Aura, and that's the Altar of Birthing. Now, this is a little bit more unique. So the Altar of Birthing is kind of a little more challenging of a mechanic to use, but it can be very beneficial. One, you need to have passive animals and an area that is going to be in somewhat of an excess of aura. So in this case, I might try building up a little bit of aura with some of my other items. All right, so now that I have an aura that is in excess at the moment in the area, if I try breeding some animals together with, let's say, some wheat in this case, there's a possibility I might get some special results, and that would be a baby cow, of course, but as you notice, I got one of these, or a couple of these, Spirit of Birthing. Now, Spirit of Birthing is one of the items you'll need for the Altar of Birthing, which is required to make animals that you not necessarily would have the option of making. So if you look, there is an altar area that is needed for this. And atop it is this little tiny square here. All these are just regular, like the infused stone or the planks from the ancient tree. But you will have needed to have gone to the darkness, or the end, the void, whatever, obtain some ingots of the skies and such. But upon doing so, you can then take these spirits of birthing, plus whatever the materials identify these mobs, and create passive mob or offensive mob spawner using these. And therefore you can make all sorts of items. For example, a mule. I could make one without having any donkeys or horses or anything like that. I could make a bat with a feather. You could make a parrot if you wanted, or even slimes, enderman, and so on. There's so many different options here. Here's a good one, a mushroom. Let's make one of those with leather and a mushroom. All right, you can see that the aura is above the average, therefore I might be able to get some of these items in here and get the mushroom that we're looking for. Hey, there we go, that looks positive. Pop, out of nowhere comes a mushroom. So we have our own natural spawner of types. And it doesn't mean that you have to have anything from that mob per se in all situations. In some situations that might be the case. But there you go, it's pretty darn cool. And this leaves one last item, and that is the Energetic Aura Forge. This allows you to harness aura for your own power. In this case, I have an Ender IO Vibrant Capacitor Bank that is constantly being fed aura and nothing else. And you can see that it does require a certain setup for it. You'll have to kind of place this. It's somewhat of a sphere shape. It will require a trip to the Nether, as well as a transmutation catalyst, some of those ingots of the sky. And then you place it down, and there you go. That pretty much tells you that you can convert aura into power, and then you just have that automatically being recreated. So, I think with the introduction of a bunch of machines into this natural order, I think that we're good for today. And don't be afraid to tune in for more episodes of Nature's Aura, as I will be continuing through the chapters to hopefully inform you guys with a little bit more on perhaps generating more aura, as well as other options this might have. So, as always, don't forget to, do the thing that you usually need to do. Hit sub or like or whatnot. And we're live on Twitch most nights, 10 p.m. Stick around. We'll see you there. Till next time, folks.